This position in 1963, former world champion Mikhail Tal shows his attacking genius and plays this game at 100% accuracy. Let's see what happens here. So in the game, Tal castles queenside and his opponent continues with their development with bishop to b7. But here Tal realizes something. He sees the bishop is no longer on this light square diagonal. So Tal uses this opportunity to start the combination off with knight takes e6, sacrificing the knight for the pawn in order to keep the king in the center of the board. And now this e6 pawn is a big target, and Tal goes after it with queen to g4, attacking the pawn. And there's a couple different ways you can guard this pawn, but none are very convenient. If you go knight to c5 to guard the pawn, then that allows a rook to d8 check, and you would have to give up the queen. Also, you can play queen takes e5, but this would open up the e-file and would walk into rook to e1. So the opponent opts for the rather sensible queen to b6, guarding the pawn. And this seems like a pretty reasonable move. But there's one move that refutes queen to b6, and Tal, he finds it. He plays rook to d6, a move that sacrifices the rook, but also attacks this queen. And the queen is no longer guarding the e6 square. So after you take the rook, the bishop is now blocking the queen, so Tal plays queen takes e6, and the king has to go to f8. And now we can try to win some material back and try to continue the game. But that is not how Tal plays chess. He sees that the king is now very vulnerable on the f-file and really wants to play rook to f1, but he can't right now because the bishop is in the way. That's why Tal comes up with the only move that forces checkmate. He plays bishop to c4, developing his bishop but also sacrificing it to open up the f-file. And this move comes with the immediate threat of queen to f7 checkmate. So you have to take the bishop. But now we can play rook to f1 check. And even though we're down 9 points of material, it doesn't matter. The opponent blocks a knight to f6, and Tal finishes it off with rook takes f6, sacrificing the rook to open up the dark square diagonal to play bishop to h6. Checkmate.